Okay, right. Well, we have got a bunch of you, so I think we'll kick off. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. My name is Oliver Bruce. I am the host of the Micromobility podcast. Very excited to have Alex Nisik here from Drover to talk about the data insights that are possible with AI and computer vision. Drover's been doing a lot of work in the micromobility space for a long time. So it's awesome to have you here. Welcome, Alex. Oh, Alex, you're on mute.
No, I'm not.
You're not anymore.
No? All right. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Excellent. Well, look, we're going to kick off with a little bit of a presentation or session that you've got for a few minutes. And then for folks who do have questions, please chuck them into the chat and I'll be back in a couple of minutes and we can proceed on with that.
Yeah, thanks. So I actually, in fact, pre-recorded a little presentation that's about 6 minutes long. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. And then I thought I would open it up for questions and potential interaction if any of you are interested in learning more. So let's go ahead with this and share my screen. Hi, I'm Alex Nisik, co-founder of Drover AI. For those of you that don't know Drover, we are pioneers of AI-powered computer vision for shared micromobility. We have become
Hey, Alex, just as you went mute.
Our product Pathpilot has been deployed across dozens of cities over 3 continents to the tune of over 5,000 units in partnerships with operators like Spin, Voy, Bolt, Beam, and others. I'm here today to tell you about a tool that we've been working on and look forward to sharing in the near future, Drover Corral. For the purposes of this presentation, the data you will see in the slides is anonymized and a mixture of real and mock data. At its core, Corral has been developed as Drover's granular backend management tool that allows us to track, manage, service, and update all of our deployed assets. However, it is also a powerful portal through which we can grant our operator customers, data partners, and the public sector access to unique insights that have been previously unavailable. At first blush, this appears to be quite similar to the typical data visualization you might be used to, showing GPS-based telemetry of deployed assets. However, thanks to the added context provided by Drover's camera and algorithms, all trips taken can now be broken down by infrastructure type and visualized with colors that correspond. This colorful spaghetti represents sample telemetry that would have been gathered across a few days in a market, and you can see the legend in the top right corner representing the different types of infrastructure. Now, at the individual trip level and in aggregate, we're able to isolate specific instances where the ride took place on sidewalks or pavements, or bike lanes and other infrastructure, or end-of-ride parking outcomes. Illustrated here are the 3 valid types of parking our AI is trained to recognize. Anything outside of these is categorized as invalid. Depending on local rules, perhaps the curbside parking would get switched to the invalid category, for example. Having real-time visual insight into each and every end-of-ride that doesn't leverage the user's phone is a powerful tool to enable proactive compliance with regulations and avoiding costly violations. It is worth pointing out that we share this telemetry directly with our customers via APIs, equipping them with the ability to act on the information internally and optimizing operational efficiency. These feeds can be used to nudge riders via in-app messaging or rewards in real time. Corral is intended to be the source of AI vision truth for a variety of incidents that, all individually and collectively, will help ops teams be more efficient and responsive by equipping them with real-time actionable information out in the field. Whether a unit is tipped over and needs attention before becoming a costly fine, or a unit has entered a parking garage and its GPS position will quickly become unreliable, Corral tells the story. As former operators ourselves, our team understands that logging into various apps or dashboards is not always convenient while out on the road. So we've also created Slack alerts for each type of detected incident that can be pushed out to market-specific teams. Notifications include actionable information along with Google Maps link to easily locate the incident potentially requiring attention. I'm also happy to share that we have recently become a member of the Open Mobility Foundation, curators of the Mobility Data Specification, or MDS, and are working to integrate our unique data into MDS to further advance the utility of the spec. I want to leave you with an example of the type of reporting Corral is able to produce with our data. As you can see at a high level, a strong majority of trips in this sample data includes sidewalk riding. But why is that? Most trips in the US, for example, start and end on the sidewalk because of parking regulations. So that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. On the right, however, we can drill down further thanks to our granular insights, and you can see that when represented by total time spent on each infrastructure type, sidewalk riding is far less significant. These data can be plotted over time, and depending on the level of enforcement used with our Path Pilot, the results show a clear change of behavior. At the outset of a deployment, perhaps Path Pilot is deployed passively and merely collects data to better understand what the existing user behavior is. Over time, perhaps Path Pilot is used to emit sounds, alerting and nudging riders off the sidewalk. As a last step, Path Pilot can be used to actually slow the vehicle down on the sidewalk in real time while also producing sounds and sending in-app notifications, producing a very powerful way to ensure that rules are followed. Similar types of insights can be made about parking outcomes, also plotted over time in response to feedback provided by Path Pilot. Heat maps of sidewalk riding could be quite useful and helpful in understanding user behavior in certain locations, informing infrastructure planning and prioritizing actions. Similar heat maps of invalid parking events can be used in informing addition of designated parking corrals or improvements in existing infrastructure. We intend for the type of insights and reporting enabled by Drover to have an impact on the operational efficiency and savings for operators, to help reduce risk and cost of insurance for the modality, and to bring clarity and peace of mind to the public sector and regulators. We will be launching Corral and making it available to our customers very soon, so be sure to stay tuned. And this is just the beginning for Corral. We're working hard to develop additional capabilities intended not only to bring additional value, but also to create new revenue potential for our customers. I know this was a very quick overview, but I wanted to leave a few minutes for questions. Please reach out if interested in learning more, and thanks for your time today.
All right. Yeah, marvelous. Thank you. That was actually not actually fascinating. I found I didn't know some of that newer stuff that you've been working on, so that was really cool to see. Thanks so much, Alex. All right. Well, yeah, we've got a couple of questions coming through. So David McCormack asking, what GDPR risks does this expose operators to?
Sure, that's a great question, and one that we've taken into consideration in the whole kind of building of our platform and technology. So it's important to note that all images collected by Path Pilot are redacted on the edge for human figures. The entire individual is blurred. Same thing with license plates. So we are GDPR and CCPA compliant. It's also important to note that Path Pilot doesn't have any insight, or Drover doesn't have any insight into who the rider is in any of these instances. So we are not tied to the operator back end, knowing who has started the ride or which user has begun or ended the ride. We are merely tracking a separate feed off of Path Pilot, which is basically an IoT module.
Excellent. Question here, which is, do riders like nudging?
Yeah, I think that's whether they like it or not. I think the question is probably more, is it effective? And I think that nudging has been a tool used by operators for some time, but it's typically not done in the moment, right? So you either get postcards or adverts or in-app messaging about what the rules are. They make you take quizzes, and you can swipe through a lot of this informational stuff. Or it's after the ride. Like, let's say you've completed a ride and maybe there's some feedback about things. And that's typically really unreliable and not very effective, right? I mean, imagine if to get you to wear your seatbelt, you had a notification before, but that chime that persists nonstop until you actually complete the action wasn't there, or you got some notification after you finished driving. Hey, we noticed you didn't put your seatbelt on. What's so powerful about that nudge is that it's in the moment and it doesn't stop until you get off. So even just producing sounds, we've seen is quite effective in getting users to stop the behavior and to comply with rules. But the other thing is users do like the nudging because in some cases they don't know that those are in fact the rules, right? I mean, it's not every rider is out there trying to ignore or be a scofflaw. Just many people as a new modality aren't necessarily familiar with what the do's and don'ts are. And so I think technology can play a role in really guiding that and ensuring a better kind of frictionless and better outcome for everybody involved.
There's a question here. What kind of infrastructure are you using? Are you buying services from providers like AWS, or are you using in-house solutions?
Well, in terms of our data hosting and stuff like that, we're using third-party cloud-based services, but Corral is built in-house. So the entire back-end management platform is built from scratch. We started off initially tracking and managing using third-party tools, but decided it was beneficial to create our own stack.
Awesome. I'm kind of curious as well. Like, who do you think the customers would be for Corral?
Sure. So, obviously our customers that are currently using our technology are the operators. And obviously this is designed to add value to the services that we deliver. And so I think that, understanding user behavior is critical. Being able to produce reports, to include this type of reporting and analysis in RFPs to continue to differentiate when in these competitive permit environments. So operators are clearly have a lot to gain from this. Also, having more empirical knowledge about what these the behavior and patterns are to better negotiate, for example, insurance costs, which insurers in this space have long relied on or sold the story that they don't have enough data to make more dynamic pricing available or more cost-effective pricing. Additional interested parties are cities. We've gotten great feedback from cities that say, hey, we'd love to know if the bike lanes we're investing money in are actually being used. There's nothing out there that can actually empirically tell you that the bike lane that we decided to put on this street is being used. With GPS technology, you might have kind of a heat map understanding that people are going through that section of town, but you don't know if they're riding on a street, sidewalk, or bike lane. And having that more granular insight will inform better decision making and justify spending on this type of infrastructure, which is our goal, right? We want to enable the success of this space. We want to enable better decision making. An example might be you invest in a bike lane, but it's consistently being blocked by cars. And so we can help pinpoint instances there where an unprotected bike lane is not serving its purpose properly, and then hopefully be a part of informing a better outcome.
Awesome. There's a question here. Do you work with insurance companies, because you obviously have rider behaviors on hand, and can maybe provide like unique insights there?
Yeah, we are. We have an agreement of partnership with Connected Insurance, who is a broker and an insurtech company out of Israel who uses themselves AI to better inform pricing, but they were very intrigued by the kind of data. So that's one partner in the space, and we have had conversations with iBot and with the operators themselves to provide them with some of the data and insights to help leverage better pricing for insurance. Yeah. Excellent. Interested to meet others.
Yeah, totally. Excellent. Well, look, there's sort of one final question what I have, which is I'm just so curious. Like, you collect a lot of data, and it's very interesting. I mean, I imagine you're kind of seeing a lot of insight. You might have insights or perspectives on like stuff around the world that most people wouldn't have any idea about. So is there anything kind of that you can share at a top level that's interesting from your perspective about the data that you end up collecting and the insights that you see?
Sure. Initially, I think that, a lot of the sidewalk riding and parking compliance stuff, and this has been borne out by studies kind of conducted over time, a lot of it is anecdotal and kind of the outliers, right? I mean, it's not as big of a deal as people make it out to be, and there's certain very vocal, constituents that might kind of sell that story. And we're really here to help more clearly define what the true risks are and to help, kind of everybody in the mix understand why it is that sidewalk, riding is prevalent, if it is, right? Obviously, the painfully obvious thing is that adequate infrastructure doesn't exist. And so again, when you have commingling of modalities, we're more interested in basically ensuring that the bad outcomes don't occur, right? So that if you're not comfortable sharing space with an F-150 on the road, a pickup truck, right, you can move on to the sidewalk, but that should be at a slower pace because you don't want to then become a threat to the more vulnerable pedestrian. And so even in a utopia where, let's call that Amsterdam, where you have bike lanes galore and adequate infrastructure for each modality, you still see kind of a commingling or mixing of modalities, right? Mopeds going on bike lanes, which is illegal. And so our technology really still has a role to play, even when adequate infrastructure does exist, to make sure that things stay in their proper location. So we're starting to see, just the raw and real data behind a lot of these kind of problems that have been plaguing the industry, and we're here to do something about it.
Marvelous. Excellent. Okay, well, that's us for time. So I just want to say thank you so much, Alex. It's wonderful to see you again and to have a chance to ask these questions. And for folks who want to track you down, I assume the best way to do that is through drover.ai.
Correct. My email is alex@drover.ai. Yep, easy as can be.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks so much.